Hello, welcome to the video. Since you read the title of this video, you know that something weird is about to happen. Oh no, is there a smudge? I'm sorry, wait. So this year I wasn't able to participate in Camp NaNoWriMo or like November's NaNoWriMo, only because I didn't have a story that I needed to write. I was working on editing my first draft of Tight as Skin, and I really haven't gotten any like good ideas this entire year for, you know, I guess obvious reasons. You know, this year has just been insane start to finish, with everything going on in the world, and then like in my like personal life, like a lot of big changes have happened, and I haven't had time for anything really like creative. Editing is really fun. I love to edit, but I feel like I've been using that side of my brain this entire year, you know, with school and working and just trying to stay afloat mentally. With that being said, the last piece that I workshopped for my fiction writing class went over really well, and we were even talking about it to the point where my professor was like, "Winter, this is a longer piece." She said, "This draft was really good for getting out your ideas," and she used the term writing to discovery, because I didn't really plan it out. It was around Halloween time. I wanted to do something spooky. I had just seen The Haunting of Hill House, and then recently I watched Vampires, this French TV show on Netflix. So good, by the way. And it just kind of sparked all this stuff for me. When I got down to writing a short story for that class, I just kind of, a bunch of just different stuff tumbled out, and she was like, "This deserves a longer piece to explore what it is that I think you want to say." I started thinking about it, and literally yesterday I was like, you know what, the semester's over. I have like I have one more assignment to turn in by Friday, and then I have like a final exam at the end of the week as well. Black Friday madness is over at my job. Right now I'm just trying to like decompress at home, not go out. I've pretty much gathered all of the holiday shopping that I've had to do, so that's like kind of just completely off my plate. And I'm like, you know what, December is gonna be for me. You know, I'm gonna end out the year doing something that I genuinely enjoy. I'm ready for this challenge, you know, it's my own challenge. It's not something like a day-to-day that I've been facing from outside forces. You know, this is me pushing myself, and I think there's a big difference between pushing yourself and having the world push you. That's what we're gonna do, and you know what, I'm calling it DecoWriMo. I don't even know if this is a real thing. It's just what I'm gonna call it because it's familiar to me, it's safe, and honestly I just hope it turns out well, and it'll be an experiment. I am not quite sure what I want to do. Like I said, I literally decided yesterday that I was gonna do this. So throughout the upcoming week, which I'll be posting these videos like week by week, like I do for NaNoWriMo and Camp NaNoWriMo, throughout the week I'll kind of be talking more about the story itself and like the characters and the vibe and what's really going down. But for right now, I need to plan it out a little bit more. I have my characters pretty much sorted. The setting is a place. I have a specific place in mind that is like an actual place. I don't know if I'm going to change it up later on, because typically I don't like to use real places in my stories. I like to base fictional places off of real like cities and stuff like that. So I might do that for here, but for now I'm just like writing in the real location that all of this is inspired around. And coincidentally, that place is not in America, so I have a lot more research to do than I think I've ever had to do before. Not only like historical research, but also I'm writing from a character who is not not American, and that's a challenge in and of itself. I think what does make it a little bit easier is that my main character is not from our time. She lived in the early 1900s, so there's a lot of stuff that I can pull for reference for that time period. Also, the story isn't about when, you know, she lived. It's definitely more about the characters, and specifically the character who lived during our time. So I don't know, there's a lot of challenges here, and I want to get it right. I'm not trying to, you know, recreate like a history piece. I'm not trying to pick a specific point in time and create a fictional story around that, and you'll see what I mean later on. For now, it's just the general ideas and the plot that I'm focusing on. And if you know me by now, then you know that I am a planner. Anytime that I do pantsit, I typically don't finish, so I want to get as much of an outline out as I possibly can. Today I'm going to be focusing more on that, just getting an outline going and figuring out point A to B to C. I think it's going to be like a novella length. I don't think it's going to take a novel to say what I want to say, and there aren't as many moving parts as a novel would require. It's very contained to a, like I said, specific setting. I know the arc that I want my main character to follow, and that isn't going to take, you know, over 50,000 words. I don't want to put a word count on this because, as we all know, I'm an underwriter and word counts typically don't work for me unless I know I'm making like a chunky monkey book. So I think for right now, my goal is to write at least one scene a day. But of course, the issue with that is I don't know how many scenes are going to be in this book total until I figure it out a little bit more. And I also already know that some of these scenes are going to be lengthy. So I might change it up to have a word count goal later, or just stick with like the scenes. So like theoretically by the end of the month I would have like 30 scenes, you know, something like that. And I really just want to see if I can do it, if I can pull it off, or at least pull something off. So right now I'm gonna get down to figuring out my scenes. I have like the general story in mind. The scenes are kind of like sporadic, and I need to like piece them together. I have done very little research right now, and I know that in order for me to be successful as I write, I need to figure out as much of my world and everything as possible before I start. So today I don't think my gosh, I'm not used to talking this much. Jeez, it's only been like 10 minutes of me talking. I don't think I'm going to be writing today. I think today's definitely just going to be like an outlining day, but I'm excited. You know, this is a fun part for me as well, because as I explore these different characters and these different settings and these different ideas, more plot points just kind of come to me and interweave together, and it's like my mind already knows what it wants to say. So I can't wait to see where this story goes, and I hope you guys have fun like coming along with me. And even if you didn't plan on writing anything this month, like if you had just done NaNoWriMo, like congratulations, don't worry about it. But if you, like me, skip NaNoWriMo just because of, you know, things that are going on, and you feel up to tackling a novel or a novella or even a short story this month, like feel free to come along with me. Strength in numbers, know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's kick off this DecoWriMo. First scene is the hardest, am I right? Oh gosh. Yesterday I managed to write out my first 2 scenes of the story, and I did my best not to get hung up on them, just because the beginnings of a first draft is like always the hardest in my opinion. You know, for me it takes like a couple thousand words to like get my footing and find my voice and really like get into the groove of a story. So I really just focused on getting out the information that I wanted and not so much presented in like a nice way. Basically, I just wanted to give myself a lot of material to work with when I go back and do edits. And before I get into writing for the day, I just wanted to like quickly talk about the story a little bit. My teacher described it as literary fabulism. I'm gonna look that up right now because I'm not entirely sure what that means, but she called it that, so it sounds good. Often interchangeable with magical realism, incorporates fantastical elements within a realistic setting. I love that. Okay, that's exactly what this is. So basically my main character, her name is... oh my god, I forgot her name because I changed it. Well, the original story, she didn't have a name. Oh gosh. Florence. Okay, we're gonna... This is going so well. I'm like so happy right now. My main character's name is Florence. She is an 18-year-old girl who died in 1915. She was buried in this cemetery in London. I'm basing this whole setting off of the Highgate Cemetery. It's a pretty old cemetery. It was first established in 1839, so it had been around quite a while. It was still like a thing for people to actually be buried there. So in this world, spirits that have like ties still left to the world, or who aren't like ready to like cross over or like move on, they kind of just cling to where their bodies are buried. And basically the story is centered around her and some other inhabitants, different aspects like hierarchies within the cemetery. There's different classes. These ghosts, they can see the living, they can't interact with the living, but people come to the cemetery, they pay their respects. It's an old cemetery, so you get like some tourists and stuff like that. And the story really kicks off modern day, which in this story, like the modern present day is like 2003-ish, when a young man dies, gets buried in the cemetery, and has a hard time figuring out why he is unable to move on. It's not like an uncommon thing for memories to be shaky when, you know, the dead first wake up. And because Florence is the first spirit that he comes across, the first one he has an interaction with, he just like clutches to her, and you know, she seems like she knows what she's doing, and he's just kind of like, help me figure this out, and she's like wanting no part of it. And that's a basic gist. There's a lot of fun elements that I'm excited to play around with. With that being said, I'm gonna get down to writing my third scene today. Hopefully I can finish it. I feel like it might be one of my longer scenes. I'm not entirely sure. Where's my index cards? This scene is the first time that we meet the antagonist of the novel, and I am really excited to introduce her because she is a piece of work. So let's get to it. Looking a little bit like St. Nicholas, so we're not gonna be showing my face today. I haven't really written much so far, but I did want to show you guys really quick my sort of outline and character profiles and setting setups for the novella so far. So if we go to the very top here, I have this document broken out into 3 sections. So as you can see, I have them right over here. Oh, I forgot, we're a touchscreen. Okay. My very first section is going to be dedicated to all the characters. So this is basically just the template table that I'm going to be using. I've been using this sort of format more or less for, gosh, probably almost all of my novels right now. I can't really remember a time when I didn't implement some form of outlining like this. Of course, for every novel or every work, it varies slightly, and this story is no exception. So as you can see, I'm gonna make this guy a little bit bigger. Oh god, okay, there we go. So up top here, we're gonna have the character name. This is where their name is gonna go. When they were born and when they died. My story involves, like, you know, ghosts and stuff, as I briefly mentioned before, so when they were alive contributes a lot to who they are as a person. Next we get right into physical characteristics, pretty self-explanatory. Cause of death, this is a big one because the way that a person died heavily reflects on not only the kind of spirit they are in death, but also reasons why they haven't moved on, so it's pretty significant. Their background, and this is like historically where they're from. One of my characters is French and the majority of them are English. So this pertains to that, as well as like their social class when they were alive, because that also sort of translates into their social class when they're dead, like in death. Next we have their attire. So as you can imagine, you can't really change clothes in the afterlife. So all of my spirits are dressed in the outfits that they were buried in. So this is also pretty like historically, I'm trying to get it as accurately as I can. Obviously, I like to put my own little flair on things, so it's not going to be 100% accurate, but that's okay. Next, we're going to get into their habits and ways of speaking. Again, this is really important as it pertains to the time period that they were alive in. And then obviously the wants and needs of the character. You know, their wants are not the same as their needs, and this helps me get to know them a little bit better. So next we're going to get into the outline. I like to outline my stories scene by scene. That's just the way that really helps me the most to get a sense of the story overall. So here, this should also look pretty familiar if you've seen any of my other videos on outlining. So I have the title of the scene up front, the characters involved in the scene, the word count of the scene, the setting, and the time of day. Typically, I will add the date in this section. However, the specific date really doesn't matter at all because these people are dead. Like, they don't need to know if it's like the 13th of October or whatever. The time of day is really important, whether it's nighttime, daytime, because certain spirits come out at different times. And then the setting, it all takes place in the cemetery. However, there are different sections. The cemetery is about 40 acres. There's lots of different places and nooks and crannies where little scenes are taking place. I might even end up making like a little mock map like I did for Tight as Skin for that city, just because that was really fun and it helped me visualize things a lot better, and I think it might be interesting to try something like that here. Next, we're going to get into the description of the scene, basically play-by-play, what's going on. And then finally, contribution. This section has come in many different forms in many different ways, but for the purposes of this story, the contribution for me is going to be, what is this scene doing for the overall story? Why is it important? And what's the thing that I want to convey to the reader without outright just coming and saying it? So the contribution directly reflects upon the description and what exactly is happening in the scene. Finally, setting. Like I said, this is all taking place in one spot. For now, I'm just gonna call it Highgate. I might, like I said, change the name. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet about that. I'm not thinking about that, to be honest. So within the cemetery, there are several different locations that certain scenes are taking place. So for example, we have Florence's grave, the yard surrounding that, the fringe. There's a new addition to the cemetery where like the newer people are getting buried and it's a lot more manicured and more kept up than the rest of the place. And then the catacombs. And so far these are my main settings. I will probably be adding maybe like one or two more important scenes, but for now this is what I'm working with. And yeah, as you can see, I have not started filling out this document yet. I figured I would show you guys beforehand to get an idea of kind of, this is how it starts, you know, this is what I'm working with. Like, I just try and make an outline of stuff I know I want to remember, and I'll be filling this out as I go. And this is about the extent of my brain power that I have for tonight, because today was a long day. And honestly, I cannot think straight, so I will see you tomorrow. I had a really packed day yesterday, so I did not get to write. Today, I had my final exam and okay, so this exam covered every single book we read the entire semester. We read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 novels, and it was open book, open note, and it was basically just like a lot of terms from every novel, and then we had to write a little like short essay on 10 of those terms, and it just took like hours. So finally done. I am done with the semester. I'm the type of person who I literally don't care what my grade is at the end of the semester. As long as I'm done, like, we're good. Like, I don't even care. So I have a candy cane. I feel like I'm behind, but it's because I didn't set a goal for myself, like a scene a day. Okay, I missed one day, but I have more. I think one day I wrote like 2-ish scenes. Yeah, I think the day before yesterday, like the bulk scene that I wanted to write, I did, but I also added in like a small transition, sort of couple paragraphs. I don't know if that counts as a scene, but it's definitely not part of the scene. We are 1 week into the month. Part of me feels like I should be further along in the story by now, so maybe that's just me not used to writing every day. I mean, let's be real, like, not writing is a nasty habit. Like, you go 3 days without writing anything, and then to try and get back into it, you're like, whoa, like, it's too much. I hate to do this, but I think I'm gonna put a word count on myself, slash like keeping the scenes in check, because I do like to write out a whole scene at a time. I hate stopping halfway through a scene. It just really throws me off when I have to pick up in like an awkward place, you know? So in addition to making sure I write at least 1 scene a day, I also am gonna put a word count of, how about 1,000 words? I'm gonna try doing 1,000 words a day, see, you know, what that does for me. Because in typical NaNoWriMo, you have to write like 1,600 words a day, 1,667 to be exact. But I am not shooting for 50,000 words. I mean, if I get there, I get there. I highly doubt it, but if I do, like, that's cool. I didn't expect that. And we'll see in a week's time where that gets me. I'm gonna try and stick to it as a daily goal. With all that being said, I'm gonna get down to writing. Today is gonna be the last day of this vlog, so this vlog will probably go up tomorrow. I've been editing as I go, so I don't have to do it all at once. I am gonna do a quick little time lapse of writing at the end here, but I'm gonna like say goodbye to you guys right now. So thank you so much for watching. I know this whole series is like a little unexpected, but you know, that's just how we like to do things here. Good luck with whatever project you are working on, whether it is writing the first draft of something, or editing, or trying to stay sane and finish up any school things that you might be working on. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you, well, I'll be talking to you tomorrow, but you won't see me for another week, so I'll see you next week.